Sal Paolantonio was scheduled to be there covering it for ESPN. Instead, he's talking to us, which I guess isn't the worst thing, but he's kind enough to join us here on the Boardwalk on the Hotline. Sal, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Well, you were supposed to be at the White House today. What happened?
Well, the president disinvited the Philadelphia Eagles, but it sounds like most of the Philadelphia Eagles were not going to go.
Right. You were going.
It sounds like, less than a handful of them were going to go. So I know Doug Peterson and his wife Jeannie were looking forward to it. Jeffrey Lurie was going to go. Despite some of the things that he said about President Trump last year in that NFL meeting.
Right.
But the players didn't want to go, and I think this is going to be the beginning of the end of these White House visits for most of these teams. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like, you've already got NBA players saying, don't worry, we're not coming either. It's unfortunate that, you were going, you have a new perspective, I'm sure, of having served in the military here, and it has kind of gotten such to a crazy spot here, Sal. But what can you tell us about? So the White House puts out the statement about where the Eagles stand after that statement, which is kind of now, then the White House kind of flipped it back on the Eagles. They kind of feel like they were bait and switched.
Yeah, I don't think all of that matters. I think the players were loath to go from the beginning. And if you listen to what some of them said leading up to this decision, it pretty much sounded like they were all going to be together, one way or the other. It was going to be a vote. I think it was Zach Ertz said he was going to do what the team does. We'll have to see. And, I think Carson Wentz sort of made similar comments. It sounds to me like they made a decision as a team. Mm-hmm. Malcolm Jenkins is a pretty powerful voice in that locker room. I look around at all the 32 teams, and there's only a handful of players who have that kind of influence within their own locker room. And for good reason, right? Because you just look at the Super Bowl championship year of the Philadelphia Eagles. Malcolm Jenkins was so profoundly important. His voice was so powerful. Going back to week 3 when the national anthem protests really bubbled to the surface when the president made his initial comments, it was Jenkins that put together a team meeting and said that everybody would stand arm in arm with the military at Lincoln Financial Field when the Eagles played the Giants in week 3. And the police of Philadelphia and the Philadelphia Fire Department. And then, when Carson Wentz goes down, and I talked about this last year, it was Malcolm Jenkins who gave that great speech in the locker room that rallied the troops and kept the team together in Los Angeles at the Coliseum. And then anybody who's watched the soundtracks from the Super Bowl, Malcolm Jenkins was mic'd up. And it was Malcolm Jenkins imploring the defense to just give the team one big play. They couldn't get to Brady, and it was Jenkins over and over and over again after he knocked out Brandon Cooks that kept the team together. So I could see where this team would follow his lead in this instance.
Yeah, and it sounds as if, guys like Chris Long have put out statements. You mentioned Ertz, who was really upset that there was a news outlet showing pictures of Zach Ertz and other players that were not related to the topic. So that had a lot of the players kind of irked. And the whole situation has just kind of completely, seemingly gotten a little bit out of control here because when you look at it, too, the statement from the White House, Sal, was, the players will stand and not kneel. And, the Eagles have no players that did take a knee last year.
Yeah, there have been outrageous statements made by both sides. There has been erroneous reporting. And, Mike, what I try to do is, first of all, let's keep cool heads here, okay? First and foremost, we're only having this conversation because the Birds won the Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah.
Locally, right?
Keep it into the big picture context. The Birds won the Super Bowl, and that's why we're having this conversation. 2, most important, and this is the question I get from people around town, right? When I'm in my Dunkin' Donuts, I'm getting my hair cut, when I'm, talking to my guy who does my lawn or whatever. All Eagles fans, principal of the high school. here in Morristown. Anybody, mayor, doesn't matter. Guys at Starbucks, whatever it is. I mentioned Starbucks right there. I shouldn't have done that. Sorry. I don't go into Starbucks. Just kidding. So, anywhere, doesn't matter. And they all want to know the same thing. How will this impact the team? Will this erode team chemistry? And I don't think it will.
Mm-hmm.
This team has great leadership, great brotherhood, great character, and most important, a great head coach. And you know me a long, long time, Mike, and you know I've been doing this a long, long time, and I don't throw around the word great. I just don't toss that around. Doug Peterson has proven to me to be a great head coach who knows how to keep a group of men together, a group of men from all over, all walks of life. Despite the adversity, the team has proven to be resilient because they have a great leader.
That's a great point. And, you did mention, too, that Peterson was one of the people that was going to actually go and represent the team. And it kind of seemed like, when you look at this, Sal, you're right. This is being discussed here locally because of the Philadelphia Eagles. If it's San Francisco wins, we're probably not touching on it all that much. But because it's local, we are a little bit more interested. But it seems
I think people, Mike, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think people around town are disappointed and a little upset.
Yeah.
Because the team is supposed to represent the community, especially this team at this time. First Super Bowl championship. First NFL championship since Dwight Eisenhower was president. Go to the White House and represent us. And people are upset that didn't happen.
Yes.
For whoever's at fault, they're upset about that.
And I opened up today by saying I think both sides missed an opportunity. They both did. They're both in the wrong here, right? I mean, the Eagles, they put out a real bland statement after they were disinvited, but both sides really could have done a better job here. And it looks like it's an optics battle for not the president against the Eagles, but more against the NFL.
And the only people that are really hurt are the people who are emotionally invested in it, and that's mostly the fans.
Absolutely, absolutely. And look, things will go on, things will evolve, and who knows what will happen because of this. But I would have liked to have seen it handled differently on both sides. But as you said, as somebody who was going down there to cover this is something that's kind of, and I think I heard you say this on Golick and Wingo this morning, this is almost like the exclamation point to your offseason before you get your rings. Like, this is the last part of your offseason that, commiserates and celebrates your championship. And it's a shame that the players who did want to go and the fans who wanted to be a part of it, they could not come to some agreement on making something happen here. And it's a shame that this tradition is looking like it's going to go away.
Did you pre-order my new book yet?
I have it right here, actually. It's in the studio. Sal Paolantonio, the Philly Special. And I want to get the inside story on this book and the actual first championship since you mentioned, 60-plus years.
Mike, I'm telling you, you're going to love this book. You got to pre-order it on Amazon. It's the #1 new release right now on Amazon.com. It's not available till August 1st. It went to the printer on Friday. I turbo wrote it. It's all the inside story of me being embedded with the team, which most of your listeners heard a lot of last year on Fridays with Sal. But it's called Philly Special. I didn't write it for me, Mike. I did not write it for me. I didn't write it for you. I wrote it for Philadelphia Eagles fans. I wanted the fans who have treated me so well over 25 years of covering this team to have a permanent record that sheds light on exactly what went on behind the scenes as this team rolled to the Super Bowl title. So, and I'm interested to see how people react to it. It's on Amazon.com. You can pre-order it anywhere in your own bookstores. And I'm going to be coming down to the shore. When the book comes out, I promise to come to your studio because I'm going to do a book signing down there. You've been so good to me over the years. I'm going to come down there. I'm going to personally sign a copy for you, and I'm going to do a signing down at the shore.
That'll be awesome. And I do see number
one.
You
know what we should do? We should pick like a Dunkin' Donuts where I can go.
There's one right across the street from our office, believe it or not. You know that?
Beautiful. Let's do it there. As long as I get a chocolate glazed donut to go, I'll be good.
Are they still doing donuts at Dunkin' Donuts? Is that how much longer is the Dunkin' doing Dunkin' Donuts? Sal Pal's with us, by the way. Yeah, Amazon.com. I have the book information in front of me. It's called The Philly Special. You can pre-order it now. It's the #1 bestseller. Can you give us a little one of your favorite findings in doing the book?
Oh, Michael, we have to wait till the summer. Wait till the book comes out. I'm telling you, you're going to love everything about it. It's got all the stuff in there from all of my time behind the scenes with the team. You're going to love it.
Oh.
I got photographs in there nobody's seen before. You're going to love it, I'm telling you.
Okay, well then let me ask you a quick couple Eagles questions while you're here, because your pal Adam Schefter tweeted today that your other pal Chris Mortensen, who is usually a pretty cautious guy, he says based on what he's hearing, Mortensen says that he believes that Wentz is going to be ready for the opener.
Yeah, that's what I heard today. And I think it's wrong. Not that the report is wrong. I think Nick Foles has earned the right to start.
Wow.
I think he has earned the right to start the opener. He won the Super Bowl.
Uh-huh.
Let him run out there with the first-team offense and be the starting quarterback week 1. That's my view. That's my opinion. He's earned that right.
See, I'm interested in how you handle getting Wentz. Like, he's not going to play in a preseason game, and how much training camp is he going to go through? Like, how do you handle easing him? Like, I would almost agree with you that.
No, I agree with Mort. I think Carson Wentz is making tremendous progress, and all signs are pointing to him being ready. But you're right. How do you do this? How do you get him ready with the #1 offense during training camp? When does he get cleared for football activities? When does that happen?
Right.
When did the doctors give him an okay? And then when does Doug Peterson give him the sign of the cross and say, you're good to go? And what preseason game do you put him in? You got to remember something about Carson Wentz when he was a rookie, right? He got hurt in the preseason, and then Sam Bradford was traded 6 days before the opener, and Wentz came out firing rockets. So he's going to be a quick study, a quick turnaround. There's no doubt about that. Be that as it may, I believe Nick Foles has earned the right to start the opener.
Sal Pal's with us. Don't forget his.
My opinion.
Yeah, and we know that sometimes, well, just saying you've earned the right to start, whether against the franchise quarterback being ready, that's not going to fly.
Well, we'll see. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that's got to happen between now and September 6th, and it's going to be a fun and interesting summer.
Oh, yeah. And I've said I don't think Wentz will be ready, but I know a lot of people are disagreeing with me. I just don't see how that timeline holds up for me. What do you hear and what do you know about Sidney Jones? This guy seems like somebody that the Eagles are really excited about, but where does he fit in with Mills and Darby, and it's a crowded backfield?
Well, I think they're going to try him in the slot right away. I think Jim Schwartz wants to see how he does. They want to give him as much opportunity as they possibly can to earn that starting spot in the slot. This team had 5 DBs on the field, as much as any team, almost 70%. They are not in base personnel very much at all because of the teams that they face. But when you're playing in the slot, against a team like the New York Giants specifically, who have a real stud tight end in the second year, and Odell Beckham Jr. coming back, the Giants are going to be a load to handle offensively, and that's going to be a very tall order. Giants have always given Jim Schwartz's offense a lot of problems in the middle of the field, like they did last year in that game they almost lost at MetLife in December.
Yeah.
So, the slot corner job has got to go to a guy who's tough, who is quick, who is smart, who is resilient, And if you're going to start a guy coming off he had Achilles injury, right? A major Achilles injury, right? Am I right about that?
Yep. On his pro day.
He's playing for the first time on a full-time level. That's a big risk, Mike, big risk.
Before we let you roll here, we know that the Eagles have a lot of guys injured that are just kind of, in most all seasons. If the Eagles did not win the Super Bowl, Sal, the fans would be panicking that certain guys aren't out there and the team's got a lot of guys banged up. Is that a concern moving into the season that a lot of guys are hurt, but we won the Super Bowl and people aren't really all that worried about it? Typically, they would be worried about it.
Let's go through them, because who specifically are you worried about coming back from injury?
Well, you got what? Alshon is not in. He's hurt, right? You got Brandon Graham not doing anything. You've got Jordan Hicks, who's coming back from injury.
So who's your number one worry?
You got Jernigan, right? My number one worry would be, well,
have to be
Wentz,
have
right?
to be Jordan Hicks, wouldn't it?
Well, Jordan Hicks, I was going to say, Hicks is a guy who can't stay healthy ever.
So it has to be Hicks. From my standpoint, you're relying on Hicks to stay healthy, and you just got rid of
And
Kendricks.
you let Kendricks go.
So it's got to be Hicks. You may do all right without Jason Peters because you had Big V.
Mm-hmm.
Alshon Jeffrey, definite loss, no question.
Yes.
But, you can – there's a lot of moving parts there on offense, and you can move pieces around, and you can probably still stay in pretty good shape. But without Alshon Jeffrey healthy and Torrey Smith gone and Mike Wallace a question mark, that's my second concern would be Jeffrey. But Hicks is number one because he's got to start and stay healthy for 16 games.
Yep. They're light back there. Hey, last time I saw you was Sixers-Celtics playoffs. The time I saw you before that was Sixers-Cavs. You were talking to LeBron James. Will you get more opportunities to talk to LeBron James next NBA season?
Brother Mike. That's another phone call. That's another Fridays with Sal. Completely new subject. New Friday, new week. We'll talk about that in July. How's that sound?
Yeah, man. And I will be sure to film that conversation. How's that?
Okay, good. Hey, listen. I'm looking forward to coming back to ESPN Radio at the Shore on the Mike Gill Show this year. I hope we're going to get it done.
Absolutely. And we look forward to it. And when you're down the shore this summer, make sure you let me know. We will hook up.
Yeah, I'm going to come do a signing, give you a book for sure, and then we'll go out to dinner.
Well, I appreciate you coming on short notice, pal.
Okay, brother.